When my husband, Ethan, took the new job in Seattle, it felt like the right decision for our family. He'd been working hard for years in our small town, and this opportunity was too big to pass up. But the move meant leaving behind his mother, Margaret, a proud, quiet woman who had spent most of her life in that little white house at the end of Pine Street. Ethan tried to convince her to move with us, but she refused gently, saying she couldn't leave the house she'd built memories in with her late husband. I could tell she didn't want to be alone, though she'd never admit it. There was something in the way she held my hand that last night before we left. Her grip was firm, trembling a little. "Call me often," she'd said. "I'm not as tough as I pretend to be." 2 months passed before Ethan could get time off work, and I suggested we visit her for the weekend. He smiled, relieved. "You're the best, Lily. She'll be so happy." I packed a few bags, brought along her favorite cookies, and made the long drive alone since Ethan had to stay for an important project. I didn't mind. Margaret and I had always shared a quiet understanding. When I arrived, she was sitting on the porch, wrapped in a knitted shawl. She looked smaller than I remembered. Her smile warmed me instantly. "You came all this way by yourself?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I missed you," I said, hugging her. She smelled faintly of lavender and cinnamon, scents that always reminded me of home. That first evening, we sat together on the porch, watching the sunset fade into a soft blue sky. She told me how she still made 2 cups of tea every morning, one for herself, one for old times. My heart ached for her loneliness. "You shouldn't be alone all the time," I said softly. She sighed. "I've lived through harder things, dear. But it does get quiet, too quiet sometimes." Later that night, while washing dishes, I noticed how she hummed to herself, as if filling the silence. Every small creak of the house seemed louder in the background. I decided then that I'd stay a few extra days, even if Ethan couldn't make it. Over breakfast the next morning, I suggested a short trip to the farmer's market. Her eyes lit up. "I haven't been there in ages." She picked out fresh apples, chatted with neighbors, and smiled more than I'd seen in years. On our way home, she told me about her youth, how she met Ethan's father at a county fair, how he used to make her laugh until she cried. It was the first time she'd spoken about him so openly. That night, as we sat by the fireplace, I saw a different side of her. She wasn't just my husband's mother, she was a woman who had loved deeply, lost deeply, and carried both gracefully. "I sometimes feel like people forget I existed before I became Ethan's mom," she said with a wistful laugh. "I understand," I told her. "It's easy to lose ourselves in the roles we play. But I see you, Margaret. I really do." Her eyes glistened with tears. "Thank you, Lily. I think I needed to hear that." From that moment, something changed between us. We weren't just family by marriage, we were friends. She began teaching me how to bake her late husband's favorite apple pie, how to knit simple scarves, how to prune the rose bushes in the garden. I could see her spirit returning, little by little. Every evening, we'd sit on the porch again, sometimes without speaking, just sharing the silence. One night, she said, "You know, Lily, I used to think silence was loneliness. But now I think it's peace, when you're with the right person." I smiled. "I think you're right." A week later, Ethan called and said he could come up for the weekend. Margaret was thrilled. "I'll cook his favorite stew," she said, bustling about the kitchen like she hadn't in months. When Ethan arrived, he hugged her so tightly she laughed. "You're crushing me, son." That evening, we all ate together by candlelight, the house filled with laughter again. Ethan looked at me with gratitude. "You've done something I couldn't, Lily. You brought her back." But the truth was, she'd done something for me too. I'd been lonely in Seattle, lost in a new city, away from friends and family. Spending time with Margaret reminded me of what really mattered: connection, presence, and love that didn't always need to be spoken. The next morning, she surprised me by saying, "You know, I've been thinking, maybe I'll sell this house. It's too big for me now. Maybe I could move closer to you too. I don't like being alone anymore." My heart swelled. We'd love that. A month later, she did it. She sold the house she'd lived in for 40 years and moved into a cozy cottage just 5 minutes from our place. She planted her rose bushes in the front yard and hung her late husband's portrait in the living room. Every Sunday, she comes over for dinner. She and Ethan play cards while I bake dessert. Sometimes we just sit together, the same quiet comfort we shared back in her old home. One afternoon, while watering her garden, she said softly, "I used to think my life was winding down. But now I feel like it's beginning again, thanks to you." Tears filled my eyes. "No, Margaret, thanks to us. We both just needed a little company." She reached for my hand, and for the first time, I understood something beautiful. Family isn't just about who you're related to. It's about who shows up when you need them most. In the years that followed, Margaret became my closest confidant. She taught me patience, empathy, and how to find light even in loneliness. And when my own mother passed away, she held me like a daughter, whispering, "You'll never be alone, sweetheart." She kept that promise. Today, as I sit beside her hospital bed, her hand soft and warm in mine, I realize how lucky I was to love her, to be loved by her. She looks at me with tired eyes but still manages that same gentle smile. "You're not crying again, are you?" I laugh softly, just remembering. Her voice weakens. "You've been my greatest comfort, Lily. You've been mine too," I whisper. When she closes her eyes, I feel peace, not sorrow. Because love like hers doesn't leave, it stays in the spaces we once filled together, in every rose she planted, in every quiet moment we shared on that porch. After her funeral, Ethan and I sit in her garden. The roses are in full bloom, the scent rich and sweet. I whisper to the wind, "You're not alone anymore, Margaret." And deep down, I know neither am I.